Thanks for tuning in to Tapped In. If you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed on the mats, come find your direction in our DFM Coaching BJJ School community. Now, let's get started.
Welcome to Tapped In. My name is David Figueroa Martinez of DFM Coaching, and today we're going to be discussing being in love with imperfection. We chase perfection in Jiu-Jitsu, much like many of the things that we do, and we want things to work out smoothly, to be executed the way it's supposed to be executed. We want people to look at our techniques and our approach to jiu-jitsu and comment on it, compliment us, and be in awe of certain things. It's human nature. You like that positive feedback. And so we kind of chase that. And we'll look at our instructors and how easy and flawless they can execute a sweep or a submission, or their guard play is so intricate or beautiful. It's fun to watch and it's fun to see. And from our vantage point, we often think or relate it to perfection and think that, oh, they've mastered this position, this art, this sweep, this transition, this way of moving. But our affinity for perfection it's a bit of a fallacy, something that we can't really attain. I'm 14 years in myself. I have a guard pass that I've been working on for roughly the majority of that time. And it's still not perfect. Someone might look at it and see how flawless it gets hit, how flawless I execute it, and they might think, oh, he knows how to do that technique perfectly. But someone else who's a bit more advanced or has studied the position even more, they might view it and be like, he's a little off here. He waited a second or two too late. Or his angle is just slightly off. There's no such thing as perfection in this art. We don't want to wait or hold or anticipate the perfect moment for techniques and then miss it altogether. Our job is to understand that stuff is just going to happen, and there's a lot of moving parts in everything that we do. Our opponent is a Rubik's Cube with arms and legs that's constantly changing the stickers on the puzzle, and we have to continue to move with it and adjust and see, well, he's at the wrong angle here. But what if I push-pull, and then he responds a certain way, and then he gives me more of the angle that I'm looking for? It's not perfect, but I'm going to go with it. I'm just going to hit it. I'm just going to commit to it. That's really what the superpower of being in love with imperfection is. We're never going to be perfect. Never. The sweep that you're hitting now at a white belt that you're learning and falling in love with, you're going to be hitting that sweep at black belt 3, 4, 5, 6, 17 years in, and it's still not going to be perfect. And the weird thing is, we kind of age. So even what we think is perfect now is not quite perfect in 5 years. It may not be quite perfect because now I have a lower back injury. It may not be quite perfect because my fingers have arthritis and I can't quite execute it the right way. So at the end of the day, perfection is not what we should be striving for. We should also not be trying to look for that perfect time where we're waiting, and then the moment passes us by. Like, I'm waiting for them to stand up a certain way. I'm waiting for them to step a certain way. And I have the grips that I want, and I have the position that I want. But then they move to the left, and I needed them to move to the right. But I had an opportunity there, but I just didn't go for it because I was looking for the response and the perfect position. It doesn't happen. We were rolling today at 5 peaks. Carlos set up 20-minute rounds, which is fucking absurd. I don't want to do 20 minutes. But it emphasized something in me where, like, all right, so I got to last 20 minutes in this round. We're doing 4 of these. The gentleman that I'm rolling with might be aggressive. They might be a bit more calm like I am. They might be looking to cook me so they can take advantage of the later rounds. I might be doing the same to them. But we got 20 minutes to play with. So most of my rounds, the last 3 days that we've been doing this, have been very much patient, and looking for roughly the right time. And the more tired I got, the more emphasis on roughly that became. It wasn't perfect. I never hit a perfect sweep. There's always something that's a little off about it. And so there were moments where I was rolling with this one dude in another black belt. Can't remember where he trains. And he was doing really well in trying to pass my guard. I put up a really good fight, and I was waiting for certain things, and certain things didn't materialize. So I was starting to go to like my B and C options. And because I'm looking at 20 minutes and I'm tired because we've already done a couple of other rounds, I didn't execute as well as I should have. I should have just gone for certain things. And then there were moments where I just went for it and the things were off. The timing was off. Maybe I off balanced it, but I didn't get up fast enough because now I was tired. So I had to adapt and make different decisions, knowing where my gas tank was in relation to how much time was still on the mat, on the clock, and how aggressive he was being, or that I noticed that he was getting tired and maybe I want to push the action a little bit. It really does change a lot of things. And that kind of highlighted the idea that we can't be in love with perfection because we're going to miss so much of the other shit that's going on. When you can get to the point where you're no longer growing or looking for that perfect moment, you're now looking more for those, you're understanding that your game's going to always be slightly broken. It's never going to be quite right. It's like when you make something by hand. It doesn't matter what it is. There's a slight imperfection in everything we do. Sometimes it's because the way we hold, like if we're making bowls, the way we hold the bowl or the way we knit, maybe it's a little too tight. Maybe the way I draw with my left hand, I have to slant the paper a certain way, or there's an element of the art that I'm trying to do that I haven't quite gotten really comfortable with. So there's always an imperfection in everything we do. And we're not machines, so every copy or every iteration is never going to be 100% accurate or identical to the other iterations. When you could understand that there's never going to be a flawless aspect, and that you're going for slightly broken, useful, then you can start trying things faster. You're not sitting in a guard with your preferred grips and just waiting. You're not sitting there and like, well, he didn't step. No, you're going to start forcing the action. You're going to force them to step. And maybe they don't step as deeply into the angle that you want, but you still go for it anyway. You start adapting quicker. The model that we're in, there's so many moving parts. They're moving, you're aging. Like the way I might hit a sweep today may not be the same way I hit it next year. The way they respond is changing because they're also getting better and being maybe exposed to other people who have forced them to adjust. So we start adapting better when we start taking out perfection and looking for the right moment. And we just start making those opportunities. And we start amplifying more of I'm going to make him step, and then I'm just going to have to adjust. There's times when I hit a sweep, and it's ugly. I know it's ugly. It's not highlight reel. It's not the way we were drilling it. It's not the way you see it on a YouTube video. And when you hit that, you're like, okay, he's off balance. Now it's on them to defend. And sometimes that defense gives me another option, or another, maybe I get to slide into a guard that I prefer. Or sometimes you just got to stand up, and they're off balance enough that you can now stand up and you can take advantage of the grips that you already had to get them onto their back. When we can understand that the goal, I just need them to fall. That's it. I don't need them to fall a specific way. I don't need them to fall with this specific sweep. There's going to be times when you need to adapt and you start off with one sweep. They're off balance and you're starting to get up. And then you just got to force it, or you got to hit another variation of something because you're caught in that moment. And you're just adapting to whatever's presenting itself. There's times when I hit a sweep and it's not completely 100%, but they're on their hip and they're trying to get back up. And my mind tells me, grab the bottom leg, because I understand they need the bottom leg to stand or to get back to their knees. So I grab the bottom leg and I start to stand, or I start to get up. And because I did that one thing I knew was super vital to them, I can now get up. The sweep was garbage. It was not pretty. It was not great. It was not like effective in the sense of the way you may teach it, but it doesn't have to be. This allows you to just, when you get away from that perfect mentality, it allows you just to try things. You're going to throw a bunch of the stuff at the wall. You're going to do a mixture of techniques. You're going to stumble onto certain techniques that maybe are not taught in the way that you just maybe stumbled upon it, but you start to realize I can group this one with this one if they do this. And then you start trying it out on different people and you start to see there's a little bit of a connection there. And you realize I don't have to be perfect in any of this. I just have to be effective. So again, when you do your techniques, we all have little tells, little body mechanics, little things that we do that are going to be different than other people. Our bodies are not identical. The way I do a sweep is going to be different because I have certain dexterity in my legs that some people don't have. So I can get the butterfly hooks in places that people are just not expecting. Feet act as hands sometimes. And there's times when I put my foot on something and I push and I hook and I pull, and I can tell people are kind of like, why is this foot here? Like, feet don't normally get to this position that we're in. And sometimes you do a sweep and your body configuration isn't 100%, isn't like the way the instructor would do it. Your elbow's a little wider, or your timing's just a little late, or the sweep just wasn't crisp, but it's working. You're learning a sweep. You're going to start to figure those things out differently than everybody else. Because again, your body is specific to you. It's not my body. There's times when I teach a technique and I have to remind myself, I got people in here that are tall. I got people in here that are maybe wide. So I have to offer certain suggestions when I go to certain groups. And I understand that someone who might be wider may not play a type of guard as well. So then when I come around to that group, I was like, so you're going to have a little bit of a challenge here. Maybe you don't have the core strength to sit up. We're going to have to do this instead. It's not the technique, but it's adapting it to your body type so that you can pull it off. And then that allows them to kind of make additional details, changes based on what they're feeling. As long as the overall goal is being met, like let's say we're doing traditional X guard. Their leg is on my shoulder, I'm on my back, and my legs are forming an X. And I start to push them off backwards, and I leave my bottom foot on the thigh. There's a bunch of different ways to hit a sweep from there, and it's going to be determined by my body type or what I can do. If I have lower back issues, I may not want to stand. I might want to do something else, like maybe get the leg that's on my shoulder onto the other shoulder so I can start taking it back. Maybe, and that may not look sexy. Maybe I start to stand, but I know that standing all the way up isn't quite what I need, so I reach over and I grab their ankle and I push them forward. So we're going to adapt based on our bodies, and we're all going to have weird approaches to it based on us, based on our training partners, based on certain body limitations, based on certain quirks. Like, hey, I might have a weird shoulder thing that when I sit up and try to get onto my elbow, I can't quite get there the normal way. So I adapt it and I change it a little bit. It's not your traditional quote unquote setup, but I am making changes so that I can make this work for me. As you advance through the belt systems, you're going to start to tweak things. You're going to start to make things maybe a little bit more smoother, but it's never going to be perfect. You're going to become more adept at making imperfect decisions with a ton of confidence. The biggest people who give me the most issues are those training partners that maybe don't have a plethora of techniques or don't do techniques great, but they move with the kind of confidence and pressure and commitment to the pursuit of that technique more than anyone else, and it creates problems for us. Like I can have a brand new white or brand new blue belt. He does this technique and he just learned it. It's not his A material. But because his mindset is, I'm committing to this shit, regardless of how good it looks, that commitment makes a big difference. And that's kind of what we do when we get higher in the belt system. There's elements of body mechanics that I understand really well, that even if I don't pull off the technique great, I'm coming with all the confidence in the world that I'm going to get something. Maybe it just gives you off balance. Maybe it gives you a pause. It stops you from advancing because you understand something's being set up. I'm fine with that. Higher belts are not flawless. And there's times when you can watch, if you're lucky to have this experience, you'll be in a room full of black belts and you'll see black belts correcting black belts. You'll see someone who's been in the art since they were 5 or 6, and now they're in their like 50s or 60s. And they'll correct the black belt that runs the school, is top dog at that school, knows their shit, and they'll correct them. Because again, there's no perfect situation for us. No matter how high you go up, you're still trying to figure certain things out. And like I said earlier, sometimes what's perfect right now at my age won't be perfect when I'm 50. Like right now, it feels like it's perfection because I still have a little bit of athleticism and strength to rely on. So I might think I'm hitting this technique perfectly. But the older I get, the more I have to rely on timing and more of the substance of the technique and less of the strength. The higher you get, none of us are flawless. We're just really comfortable operating with limited information sometimes. Bad angles, bad grips, bad timing even. And we're okay with finding solutions in that mess. Best case scenario sometimes. And I wish that was something that more people on the blue belt side would kind of understand and be okay with, instead of comparing themselves to everybody else and just saying, hey, in this limited skill set that I have, I'm going to go for this, and I'm going to go with the confidence that it's going to work out somehow. If you can alter that aspect for yourself, Jiu-Jitsu gets a little easier. Not easy, but a little easier. If I can give one last example, I would give this podcast that example. I'm not the greatest public speaker. I'm not the greatest orator. I am an introvert. I don't think I'm the greatest speaking instructor. I'm really good at coaching people and showing that I care and understanding body mechanics and people and what they need to hear and the techniques that they should probably be chasing at a certain skill level or because they have an interest in it. I'm great at the coaching aspect. I sometimes flub my words when I'm teaching. And I've grown to understand that I'm imperfect and I'm okay with it. I just correct it or I leave it, and then we keep moving. I don't need to be perfect. This podcast is not perfect. There are moments when there's a longer pause because I'm thinking about the thing that I want to say next. There's moments where I'm talking and I can feel almost lose my breath a little bit because I'm talking more than I'm used to. I'm not a big talker. There's moments where I can feel the raspiness in my voice, but I'm like, I got to finish the episode. Again, I'm not a huge talker. There's going to be times when I have a thought process and then something else occurs in my brain and I go on a little bit of a tangent. There's times when I'm going to say ums and This podcast is a perfect example of being in love with imperfection because I don't heavily edit this at all. I don't have an editor. I don't do a whole lot with it. The way it was recorded is, for the most part, what you're getting. And I did it that way for the sake of wanting people to understand that we do not have to be perfect in everything that we do. Perfection is a fallacy. It's not something that we can attain. And really, there's a beauty in it when you're really comfortable with imperfections, that there's like a freeness to, I don't care. I'm going to release the episode. I'm going to teach this topic. I flubbed my words here. I couldn't find the right words, but maybe they came to me later, so I had to backtrack to it. I want things that are imperfect. Please fall in love with your imperfect jiu-jitsu. Fall in love with your imperfect sweep, your imperfect submission, and just slowly with time get better. Don't stagnate and be happy with it. Just the more experience you have doing whatever that it is that we're doing, it's just going to get better. And have the confidence that it will, and understand that at this moment, it is the right technique for you, and your jiu-jitsu is the right jiu-jitsu for you. And it'll just get better with time. There's no need to beat yourself up about, I'm missing this or I'm missing that. I'm missing a bunch of shit. But I'm really good at highlighting what I'm good with in the moment, and then taking advantage of what I can get away with and making it look like it was planned. So I'm hoping this helps with people who are maybe too judgmental about themselves. If you have any questions or you want to get some feedback or advice on this topic, please let me know. DFM.2099 on Instagram and Threads. We also have a free school community. I put all my recorded workshops on there. Again, any questions, please hit me up. Until next time, thank you so much.